What's up, everybody? Having kind of a lazy Sunday here, and I was just getting on VSTForFree.com as I am wont to do, and I found some plugins that are pretty interesting. I got a sound going from them, and here's what we're dealing with. So what's going on here? Let's just go down the signal path and see what we're dealing with here. First up is the gate from Dead Duck, and this is just the initial setting that opens up when you turn the unit on. So input and trimmer at noon, everything else is all the way down. The reason I have this on is because without it, my guitar sounds like this. Oh, the wonders of living in a house with 70-year-old wiring. Next up in the chain is the DTQ Plustortion. I have this kind of on a Randy Rhoads kind of thing. Output is up a little bit. Distortion is maxed out. On the back side, you have some interesting options, including op-amp clipping and diode clipping and a high cut and a low cut. With the low cut, I do have a little bit of a low cut going on because otherwise you get some flub, and I'll show you that. It just clamps down the low end a little bit, so the in a real one it would be an op amp that would start flubbing out and getting goofy. Next up, I have the guvnor from Analog Obsession, which is a software emulation of the 80s Marshall guvnor overdrive, and this is really meant to be used in front of an amplifier, but I'm using it as a preamp just so it's not just a distortion plus going through the rest of the chain. Without the distortion plus, this thing really doesn't have a ton of gain, because like I have it maxed out, and here's what we're dealing with. It's a good platform though, so I do recommend trying this in front of another amp. Over here, towards the end of the signal chain, we have the Ignite Amps Ep.1 tube power amp emulator. I got depth up a little bit, presence all the way down. There's some cool stuff on the back of this one as well. I have the tube set to EL34 just because Rhoads was using kind of Marshalls. Bias is set hot, feedback is up, resonance is up, and I don't really see a ton of people talking about using power amp emulation in their plugins. I actually use it with my ADA Ep.1, my actual physical preamp, because it adds you know, some character that's lacking if you just go direct. Here's what it sounds like without the power amp. Aside from the obvious thing of it being louder, there's also some low-end characteristics that just really shine when you use a power amp emulator like this. And last in the signal chain is the one part of this whole thing that isn't free, and it is Trucab from Ugritone. Ugritone is a company that we've been buddies with for a minute. We use their Assault drums and their Cult drums too for writing demos, and we use their 1989 reverb on just about everything that we can. And now I'm using this. The reason that I decided to use Trucab is because it's got, one, a really nice user interface, and two, this is the setup that I have going here is using the Over the Legacy patch from their US thrash metal pack. The reason I'm using it like this is because when we were recording Adventure 1, I did the Randy Rhoads trick where you mic a cab close and then have another microphone down at the end of like a hallway, which is how we did it at Jacob's house. And you pan the two mics opposite, so the reverb sound is coming out of the opposite end of the close mic speaker. And I have that going on in this. So I have the center and the side set to hard left on this, and the room sound and the tube sizzle, which was what's giving it all that room character and that shine, coming out of the opposite speaker. And then, you know, if you were doing a right pan guitar track, you would just flip the pans around. So you get things like this. Love it. Like I said, I've been chasing that sound ever since we recorded the album at Jacob's house, and haven't been able to find it. I've been trying to use reverb sends and stuff, and it just doesn't quite scratch the itch. So here is a full mix of a song that I haven't written yet, but will by the time you see it. Enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching and tuning in for this. I hope you found it interesting. This video was made possible by our lovely patrons over at Patreon. Link for that is down in the description. And by Black Harbor Strings, who make all the strings that we use. They're awesome. They're a Salt Lake City based company. Check them out.